Hi, everyone. Carol here. It's time for the weekly channeled lesson. And I want to talk today about what happened with Russia and Ukraine, not because I want to bring up any kind of political issue, because that is not the point of today's lesson. It was roughly 14 months ago that I was reminded that at the end of February, a war would begin. Now, at the time, this was when the presidential election in the United States was going on. And I kind of dismissed it, thinking that this was about the result between the presidential candidates. But when things happened, I was reminded and shown that we told you about this. And so, as a result of that happening, I had a lot of spiritual activity that was going on that particular day, a lot of communication from my spiritual team. And that has continued over the course of the last couple of days. This prompted me to make a social media post on my Facebook page for my friends only, just talking about the fact that I had been told this 14 months ago and that I was concerned about some of the things that were going on. Now, as a result of that, I know a lot of people were interested and they wanted me to tell them, well, what is it that we need to do and how do we prepare and so on and so forth. And so this, again, is not meant to be a political post. This is meant to be a spiritual post. And so I want to address that today because I've been given a lot of insight to share with you. And so this is going to be more of a talk, but I still want you to understand that this is coming from spirit itself. First and foremost, I can't tell you how you need to prepare or what you need to do, nor can I tell you what the outcome of all of this is going to be. We are often given information from spirit when we move into a space of being connected and being capable of hearing it. We're not here to get information to fortune tell or prophesy, but we do talk about potentials. And I'll give you an example where spirit steps forward and they say, you're potentially going to be in a car crash tomorrow, right? And so when you hear this, you kind of go, oh, how dare you tell me something horrible? But what happens if you decide not to get in your car the next day and therefore nothing happens? This is what happens by a term of a potential. And so when I was told about the war happening before the end of February, this was a potential. This didn't mean that it was a foregone conclusion. And so there really wasn't a lot of things that needed to be done. And we don't necessarily know that this is going to end up in a dreadful, horrible situation in the long run. Granted, war is already a horrible situation, so I'm not undermining that. But where do we go from here? Everything exists in terms of potentials. And when we allow spirit to connect with us and speak with us and to give us these potentials, even if it's about our health, for example, they're telling you that you are running into a path or a potential because we are generating choices that drive us into this potential. So this is something that we need to start thinking about and we need to start understanding. And spirit has been advising people to get connected. That is everything that I do here when I tell people about enhancing their intuitive and their spiritual connections, getting in touch with whatever you consider your divine source to be. We need to start paying attention. We need to start being capable of receiving this inner guidance so that we know how to make good decisions. If we are making bad decisions and we are driving ourselves into the wrong potential, everyone wants to avoid that. Who doesn't? So we need to be in touch. We need to start getting connected. If you look at all of the earlier channeled lessons and half of the material and content that I put out there, it's about helping everyone learn A, why we need to do this, B, how to do it, and to not just look at it in terms of psi or psychic. This is about our connection to spirit, about to sources that are beyond ourselves. Even if you don't believe in life after death or God, is there some type of consciousness or cosmic awareness that has more knowledge than we do? And if so, doesn't it deserve to be tapped into and brought into the physical world? Now, I will say to you that I, of course, do believe in life after death. I do believe that there are spiritual people on the other side who want to help us. And I most definitely believe in God. And I believe that that is the highest and ultimate source. And so in my personal life, I want to connect with that. I want to know the direction that I need to go. And so when I made this post, people said, well, what is it that I need to do and how do I need to prepare? I don't have that answer for you, at least not unless I'm connecting with you one-on-one and I get some guidance from your spiritual sources, because you're a different person than I am. I have a different calling. I have a different purpose. I live in a different country. I live in a different city. I have different skill sets. And so each one of us is going to have a different way in which we need to prepare, if we need to prepare at all. right? You may be exactly where you need to be doing what you need to be doing, and you need to be focusing on doing that work. So I'm not saying that we need to prepare in terms of going out and doing something major and running around in the physical world and kind of stirring up all this energy. A big, huge part of the preparation is how you're going to handle yourself, because ultimately what does or doesn't come to pass, changing and improving ourselves is the ultimate goal. So let's get back to connecting with divine, connecting with spirit. And I'm not talking about you need to have a belief in God. This is not about religion or telling you what you need to do. This is about getting in touch with your inner connections with your spiritual source, whatever that is, and allowing yourself to be guided and led to those things that you need to do. And I've tried to do that with as many of these channel lessons as I can, and bringing forth information that Spirit has for me to deliver in the terms of messages. And Spirit also does say as well, look, we can't change the world. You have to, meaning you and me. We're the ones that can change the world. They can only be there as advisors, right? They are not in physical form. We're here in physical form. We have to be the ones responsible for creating the change. And if we expect that the systems around us, and this is the word that Spirit has used, systems, right? If we expect that the systems around us are going to solve us, we are going to be sadly mistaken. Because right now, and I'm not getting political, but many of the systems that we are functioning in have been developed from a state of self-perpetuation. Their goal is not to serve. Their goal is to be served. And that is a huge difference, right? And so again, do these systems, right? Let's think of an educational system or a hospital or a medical system. They are serving us. We're not saying that they're not, but what we're talking about is the underlying goal, unfortunately, has taken on this self-perpetuating consciousness, this self-perpetuating mentality that says they're more interested in self-preservation than they are in serving people. Now, people are a part of that self-preservation. So this is where the dichotomy comes in terms of going, well, of course it has benefits. And of course they do. Our children are getting an education and we go to the hospital and we receive medical care. I take, medication that has helped me. And so we have to recognize that there are positives and negatives. But what I'm talking about with these systems is that they have moved into, again, this state of self-perpetuation that is more focused on their preservation than on the preservation of human dignity and human life. We are a byproduct of that system, but those systems are failing us all across the board in countless different ways. And I think regardless of where we stand politically or on certain points of view, we can recognize that systems need to be improved. Again, I'll use the health system here, and I will reference a video at the end of this one. I'll put a link up for it, where there was some discussion about the fact that we are moving into a new paradigm in our medical system. We are learning that healing takes place in a broad variety of ways, that functional testing and nutrition need to be a huge part of the healing systems. And so these systems are evolving and they are changing. So again, let's get back to you and me and why this is relevant. Okay, we can talk about systems need to change all day. We can talk about following our divine purpose and getting connected so that we know what each one of us needs to do. But a huge part of what I've been receiving since all of this war stuff erupted, and it's been overwhelming, I will be honest with you, is that each and every one of us have lost sight of ourselves. And that is in terms of why we were here to serve others. We know that we're here to live our life. We know that we're here to enjoy our lives. We know that we're here to love and connect with our families, but we are also here to serve humanity. Each and every person, whether you believe in me, believe what I say or not, has come here with a soul contract, not just to have our experience, but to contribute to society. I also did a blog post about this. It's in my newsletter this week, and you can go to my website and you can read that blog post. I think it's an 8-minute read. I'll put a link to it down below this video as well. We are here to serve, and each and every one of us have forgotten about that. I believe it was Gandhi who said that we need to be the change in the world that we want. We have a divine purpose. We each are here to do something for society and for others, not for ourselves, not for our families. Now, we are going to benefit. Our family's going to benefit. These systems are going to benefit. This is the point. When you embrace whatever it is that you're put here to do, when you start to fulfill service, it's going to fulfill you. 15 years ago, if I thought that I would be doing what I'm sitting in here in front of you and doing right now, I would have said there's no way. It wasn't a part of my thought process. This is the part. I feel fulfilled. I feel that I'm doing what I need to do. And more importantly, when you connect and ask for your spiritual purpose in service to humanity, not in service to yourself or your family, but in service to humanity, God is going to bring the resources that you need to start making that happen. Now, I'm not saying you're all going to become a spiritual messenger and do what I do, because quite frankly, that's not true. You may serve in the health community, the medical community. You may be a teacher or a construction worker. You may be the trucker that's driving across country. Again, not political, just a comment, right? But when we start looking at how it is that we're serving and how we can best do that, maybe you're going to create a charity, or maybe you decide that you want to gather up clothes and start finding a way to serve people that don't have those, not just in forms of a thrift store, but in true service. There's a big difference. A thrift store basically becomes a self-perpetuating system, right? It has good intentions, and most of them do wonderful charity work in the communities. These are very holistically based types of systems. And so these are examples of the way that we need to kind of move into systems that are designed to serve people. The systems that we have in place now are designed to serve themselves, with people being a secondary byproduct. And again, I'm going to go to the health community here as an example. When you start improving yourself, when you start making better choices for yourself, when you stop supporting unhealthy foods, those businesses that are selling unhealthy foods are going to stop functioning. Those systems are creating illness. They are utilizing people as a form of generating revenue, of profits. They buy commercials and television space and try to get you to purchase a product that you and I both know is not good for us. And when we make those purchases, we are perpetuating those systems that have no benefit. So we are all culpable, myself included, and I've had to make better choices. And sometimes it's not easy because we like this or we like that. So Spirit has been very vocal with me over the last couple of days about the fact that they have been trying to reach out, to try to connect with each one of us, to invite us to invite us, to bring in our own intuitive and divine connections, to really get in touch with ourselves and to start realizing that it's not about what we get out of this life. It's what we're here to do and be and to give. And when we focus on that, the things that we want come to us. Can I tell you the amount of abundances and resources that have come into my life as a result of me stepping into my greater surface and my greater purpose? And when we do that, we will find that we will make better choices and create better systems. We all know that we need more sustainable systems in this world. There are people who have no hope or no chance to have the kind of life that some of us are living, and we are worried about ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. We all want to feel safe and we all want to feel secure, but we need to start focusing on what it is that we can give and how we can assist others and create new systems. Only then, when we develop these new systems, will we begin to see the shift in the world that we want. So I'm simply going to close by saying this has to start with us, right? And the steps may be extremely simple. Stop making bad health choices. Stop buying soda. Stop buying cereal. Stop buying Red Bulls. Start making simple decisions that benefit you. Granted, we're addicted to these things. There's a reason for that, because it's a self-perpetuating system. And so you say, well, I don't want to do this, and that seems radical, but is it? Do we like the mismanagement of health that we see in this country? It's talked about every day. How do you enjoy feeling when you are digesting these items that have no nutritional benefit for you, that keep you addictive, that cause all kinds of illnesses and inflammation within your body? Now, I'm not preaching, but I'm simply using this as an example to say that we are each responsible, myself included, for what decisions we are making. Every time I order from Amazon and I throw away the package and I throw away the box, I ask myself, how am I self-perpetuating a system that's destroying the habitat? What better choices can I make? Do I need this item? Can I get it locally? So these are the kinds of ways that we need to start thinking about service. It's not about lack, but it's about better choices. And they seem very simple, and we feel like we're losing something, but in the long run, we're going to gain. So I hope you will kind of forgive me for moving on these topics, but these are topics that Spirit has been addressing with me. And I'm going to continue to talk about these and to encourage everyone to get into an intuitive space, a divine space, connecting. I talk about people optimizing their well-being. And this is all about you finding your purpose, moving out of a state of fear, healing the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body. Because if you want to be prepared, these are the decisions that you have to make to be prepared. If you're not healthy, how can you make good choices? If we're making bad choices, we're perpetuating systems that are failing us. Can you figure out what it is that you are meant to do and how you need to serve? And again, I want to be clear. This isn't about service to your family. That's a foregone conclusion. Those things should be there. We have an accountability to others that most of us don't want to look at, especially I think here in America, where we've been brought up to be very vain, to be very attached to the things, the material things that we have, when there's a whole other part of the world that would just be happy to have a bowl of food and some freedom. And so we need to get out of that mindset and recognize not that we need to sacrifice or have lack, but rather that abundance comes to us when we think abundantly for everyone, when we think in these holistic terms. So I just want to put this out there for you today, because this is truly what Spirit has been giving to me, chirping in my ear. I realize that perhaps it hasn't come in the traditional channel form that I try to give you, but these are very important messages. And when we hear the terms wake up and people go, oh yeah, the woke and the wake and this. No, this is about a spiritual awakening. This isn't about awakening of personal accountability. This is about an awakening of choice. And I have to do better as well. I'm not saying that I'm not culpable. The point is are we embracing that path, or are we just kind of floating by from day to day and not really asking, how can I step into my true power? How can I become a better me? How can I serve my family, my purpose, my God, whatever that may be for you, my community, and the world? Until we begin to have this mindset, even though we're not going to know what we need to do, how we're going to do it, and it's going to take an effort to get there, the mindset has to change first. Spirit would love to help us in so many different countless ways. They can't begin to tell you, but this is the world that we've chosen to come to. This is the incarnation that we have chosen to step into. And if we want it to be a better place, no one's going to make it that way. And our relying on these systems that have often been here to prey upon us rather than to serve, even though people in the systems desire to serve and they are working inside of those systems, the systems themselves are beginning to fail and to crumble because they are not coming from the heart-centered space that they need to. We are all beginning to feel and sense this at one level or another, and we will all either become a part of that potential that drives us further down that path, or we will become part of the potential that moves us into a heart-centered, service-based systems. The old ones will need to slowly disappear and new ones will need to be created. And you can't wait for someone else to make that happen for you. You have to ask your role, your part in making that happen. It may be very simple, as mine is today, by simply sharing with you what Spirit is saying about how we need to do it. I am not in the space to create all of those systems by myself. We have to learn to do this collectively. So I thank you for listening to Spirit today and what they had to share. I hope it's inspired you to begin to want to develop your own intuitive and spiritual connections and to become the person that you were put on this earth to be. So until next week, may you have a blessed week. Thanks. Bye-bye.